Hey there, first full video on this channel, and I thought I would just upload a sped up video of me making a landscape in Gaea and bring it into Unreal Engine 5. I'm by no means a pro, and most of what this channel will probably be is me learning how to do things in different 3D software. So for starters, I'm just looking at some of the different geography nodes that Gaea has and seeing how I feel about them. I didn't really have much of a direction going into this, so what you're seeing is just me exploring the options, maybe moving some settings around and seeing how I feel about it. Then I start to combine some of the nodes together, seeing what features stick out when they're combined. After combining some nodes together, I decided to give the project a name, Murky Mountain. Why that name, I have no idea, but the point being, after seeing some of these combinations, I wanted to make a mountain-esque landscape. With that in mind, I keep playing with the different node combinations I was working with, trying to dial in how the different nodes are being combined together. For the most part, I was still winging it, adding some transform nodes in to rotate or scale. I also wanted to add a crater node so I could bring the center of the landscape down a bit. So in theory, in Unreal Engine, from the center of the map, it would be like you're in a valley or something, surrounded by mountains or hills around you. So right now I'm just trying to get those settings set, and then I upped the res so that we could kind of visualize it in a higher resolution. From there, it was time to start with the first erosion node. I believe I only ended up using 2 of them, so this one was just playing with different settings, kind of seeing how it looks, rock softness, the strength, and that type of stuff, seeing how it affects the landscape. Once I got that first erosion node, I start to play with some other nodes that could modify the way the terrain looks a little bit. Right now, just messing with the warp node, blur it up a little bit so we can add in another erosion node afterwards and kind of dial in the different details that we want. The second erosion node, the settings are going to be very different. We're not looking for it to affect the landscape nearly as much as the first one, which is why the strength originally is very low in comparison to the first. I also upped the res in the software to see what it looked like at a higher resolution. That didn't really go well with making changes, so I had to move it back down after running into some issues. Once the resolution was moved back down though, I started getting things ready to color the landscape. The point being to just get an idea of what it could look like, see where we want to go from there. After that, I started to think about the water, seeing what it could look like on the landscape, kind of what I like and what looks right for it. From there, I started to mess with the flow map from the erosion node, trying to use that to help with putting the water in where I want it. Water's definitely something that I need to work on. I don't know how to use it very well in Gaea. It's one of those things, it's difficult to actually get the water where you want it, and combining lakes with rivers, I don't actually understand what the best way to do it would be, so a lot of this is just me experimenting, trying to get that to work the way I want. But once I do have it, I start to think about the maps and stuff, because those might be useful later on when I bring this into Unreal Engine. And yeah, from there it was time to kind of overlay the water onto the landscape as far as the color goes, so we can actually see what it might look like somewhat. I do think it looks pretty cool, but I didn't really understand why the center was purple, and I couldn't actually get it not to be. But it's not the end product, so it's not the end of the world either. And then there was getting it rendered and exported. It took like 2 hours, but once it was done, that's when I moved over to Unreal Engine. This is just the process of getting the landscape imported. There's gonna be some need for conversions for the scale and everything. That's what I'm looking back into Gaea for. Once I got the scale, it was time to actually import. Then I had to move the landscape up because it was below the height fog or exponential height fog. I'm not sure what exactly it was called, but once I moved it up, you could see the landscape, kind of fly over it, see that it didn't seem like the height was as tall as it probably should have, so I adjusted the scale some more. And then had to move the landscape again. But I was more okay with this one, and probably in the future I might still move it up more as far as the scale goes. After that, it was just applying that material from Gaea on the entire landscape. This took some Googling and stuff to try and get the right settings and how to make it large instead of tiling. But once I got it, it was fine. It's just at first I got it large enough where it seemed like it was the right size, but the water wasn't lining up where it should be, so it just didn't look right. So there's going to be a bit of fiddling with that. But after I figured out that it was oriented correctly, it was just slightly smaller than it needed to be. I just readjusted that a little bit more and it looked more accurate. And yeah, once I got it positioned correctly, I kind of just went where I would render a video from, add a camera in, and set that up. I also probably need to work on this as well, but it was just so I could get the quick video. It wasn't anything crazy where it's actually supposed to be super cinematic or anything. So I actually mess with these settings quite a bit because I have no idea how to do it. So there's going to be a bit of this before the final render. Once I got the settings done, this is just the render getting finished, and then here is the full final render where it goes slowly across. You can kind of just see. I think the water looks fine just for the concept of what the landscape can look like. It's just a color on the map, but yeah. If you like the video, you can hit the like button, subscribe too. This is just the first of probably many videos. If you actually made it to this part, thanks.